I hope you can hear me. Do I need to be more clearer or it's okay? Distance is fine. Perfect. So good morning to everyone, and it's a sunny day here, a little bit. So we will talk about cloud computing in Azure today, and we will have some demos as well planned for us, and we will go through those demos. If you have any questions, I hope this software should help us to see the questions, and I will try to answer those. We have allotted time for software, for question and answer, but if you have any questions in the meantime also, feel free to ping me. Srinivas, you will be here throughout the session, right? Okay, perfect. So what's cloud computing in Azure? My assumption with this session is that you guys know a little bit about cloud computing, and if you don't know, that's also fine. I'll try to cover that from basics, and then I'll go with the PaaS, platform as a service, and then I'll try to make sure that that we are touching all the points of cloud computing scenarios, its loading patterns and other things. So let's start. So the first thing is, what's cloud computing? So in this session we are going to see what is cloud and why it is there, what is exactly Windows Azure, what does it do, what is flavor, why would I use it, do I really need to use it, or I can still avoid using it by doing some other things, and okay, how do I use it? So how will I use it, and how will I be ensuring that if I want to do anything in the cloud computing, how will I do it, and what are the different things I can perform with that? So let's go with what's cloud computing and why. So you have seen these machines, if not that at some places, at least one of that you have seen in your home, at powerhouses and at or other industry sites. So these are the places, this is indicating that this is nothing but electrical grid. The first is the power generating piece, the second is power distribution, and the third is power consumption. So essentially somebody generates, other person distributes, and we as an end user in our home actually uses it. When we actually use this particular piece, we are actually using the services of some powerhouse or some electrical factory by which we consume the services, and we are using the electricity in multiple ways. It is a similar concept here now. So we have the plugs there, you just plug and then play. So essentially we use a service. If you are not using this, then essentially the bill will not come, the meter will not go on, and you will not be paying anything to the electrical body. So essentially this is what something you will be seeing, that you are using electricity as a service. So there are multiple ways. You have to get electricity, you can go to electricity board and get a meter and use the electricity, or what else you can do, you can set up your own infrastructure. But setting up your own infrastructure will require a lot of effort in terms of money and time both, and effort as well. So essentially you prefer that, okay, somebody has already done this, let's use it for the service, and we will pay only for what we use. So that is the most important thing we have to remember. We only pay for what we use. Now, what is a cloud actually? So if I have to define a cloud in a single line, I will say it's a pooled resources. So we have resources of all kinds, and we have pooled it at one place, and then we are providing the services to you. Now, what kind of resources it can be? It can be compute power, it can be storage, it can be network, it can be any type of computing resource that you can think of, and we are providing as a pooled resources. The second is self-service. You are free to do what you want to do, and you need not to take any help from anybody. If you are not knowing the portal and if knowing the resources available to you, how to use them and all that, you can pretty much do that. It's elastic, so you can use as much as you want, and so suppose you are doing something and you need 5 computers. Okay, no problem, go to cloud portal and you get 5 within 5 minutes. Okay, you need 5,000, you can get 5,000 within 5 minutes. That's not a big deal. So it is elastic to anything. And the last but not least is usage based. You only pay for what you use. So basically it is a usage based. You are not paying much, you are not paying less, you are paying exactly whatever you are going to use. So it is economic, it is agile, and we have the focus also. This is one slide that I personally prefer to have it on all my sessions. It actually tells you about the different flavor of cloud, as well as it tells the current situation of our infrastructure also. So if you see at the left hand side, we have the physical machines, which you might have encountered in some of your homes or some of the labs. The second set is virtual or private, which says that you have a machine, but you have cut down your machines into logically into multiple machines, and then one machine is assigned to each user, so that even with one huge machine, many people can connect to it and they will feel like they have their own computers. So it's a virtualization. Now the rest of the three flavors, that is IaaS, EaaS and SaaS, are the flavors which are nothing but essentially three different type of offering that are in the cloud. IaaS stands for infrastructure as a service, PaaS stands for platform as a service, and SaaS stands for software as a service. So when you go from left to right in any organization, you save money. You have physical machine, then you have set of virtual machine, then you have IaaS, PaaS or SaaS. So as IaaS, PaaS and SaaS accept these three things, there are other things as well. For example, DaaS, that is becoming popular now, data as a service, and other things as well, NAS, network as a service. So basically those are still coming up in the thing, but these three terms are pretty much popular now within cloud offering. So in IT world, we have these three offerings. For example, you might have seen sometime that even if you don't have Microsoft Word or Excel on your machine, but when you have a mail, you're able to open those files which are Word document and all those things. So there's some message here. You want to see this? It automatically popped up.
Here online.
Okay, perfect. So is on? No. Okay. So so essentially in IaaS we take the software and we actually lift and shift. We take the software and we pass that software as it is. We bundle up it to a package and we give it to IaaS. So the cost will be little more than PaaS, but essentially the intent is to move fast. PaaS is actually if you're creating an application and you want to create from scratch, then you can essentially create through Visual Studio or some other IDE, and then you can make sure that you are taking a package of it and you are giving it to, porting it to cloud. And the third one is SaaS, software as a service, which says that you have a software and that can be used as a service. For example, I just told you that you don't have any MS Office things installed in a machine, but still you get a mail and you get a Word document in that, and you are able to open the Word document. If you're able to open the Word document, it means the software as a service you are using Microsoft Word as a service. It is still not installed on the machine, but still you are able to see the Word document. But the moment you close the document, you are not able to see Microsoft Word in your machine. So that's a software that is given to you as a service. Now the next thing is, how do you ensure that what set of things you do on what set of things people do, and you're in which flavor. So there are two kinds of things you might be hearing by now. Something is called on-premise and other set of things are called cloud. On-premise is nothing but your physical machines or your virtualized machine, but located at your premise. Cloud is something you're using the cloud services. So if you maintain all of this, application data, runtime, middleware, virtualization, your servers, storage, networking, then essentially you are having the machines on your on-premise. Now blue is nothing but that you can see is what you manage. Now if you say, okay, I will manage some of it and rest of it, virtualization, server storage and networking should be managed by cloud, or a vendor should manage it, then it is called infrastructure as a service, the just one we saw. Now if you say that, okay, I don't want to manage much, I just wanted to manage my application and data, and then rest of the things should be managed by vendor, then it is nothing but a classic example of platform as a service. So you are seeing that I just wanted to, I am a programmer, I am a developer, I just want to develop a program, and then I want to make sure that the rest of the things are automatically taken care of, then that's a classic example of platform as a service. And otherwise you can say, okay, I don't want to manage anything, you should manage everything, then it is nothing but a software as a service. So you are just coming, consuming it as a service and going ahead. So these are the different areas that you should always remember, that what you use versus what vendor use. When I say vendor, it means nothing but the company who is providing cloud offering. Now the question comes, when should I use cloud? What are the cloud computing patterns? So we have few patterns here that we will discuss now. When you should do cloud or not. So you might have heard that there are sometimes there are some programs or there are some scientific calculations that we need, or there is some activity that is time bound. I want to do this activity from this time to this time. Then there is an inactivity period. I don't want to do some activity, and then I want to again use it. Now, if you use a machine, essentially it cannot be done. Even if you are not using it, then also you are paying for it. So essentially, what is happening is you are paying even if you are not using. Cloud computing is the best example. You will use for the time, then for an activity period you don't pay, and then you again use the resources for some time. So when you have a case where you want to have your something like on and off scenario, then you will use cloud computing. The second scenario is growing fast. So let's say you have a company or you have a website. That is, you have just opened a company with a small website and your business is growing slowly. Now you might have your website deployed on one web server, you might have deployed 2 web server, but tomorrow as the business needs grow, you need 10 servers, you need 50 servers, you need 500 servers in order to cater the load that is coming to your website. So essentially you are growing fast, but slowly you are growing fast. So in that case, what's happening is that you might need to increase the infrastructure, but in order to support your business, you might not have time for that. So you can rely on the cloud to do that. Okay, there is something called cloud computing. If I take the machines from them, we can quickly grow fast, not an issue. The third can be unpredictable bursting. Unpredictable bursting is nothing but actually sudden spike sometimes. So for example, let's say 9/11 happened. You all know about that. It's some 10 years back, 10 or 12 years back. Then what happened is everybody actually went to the website, news website most of the time, and the news website crashed. You know why? Because suddenly everybody was going to news website and they experienced the load that is not usual. So they experienced the load instantly. They were not expecting that load immediately. But then nobody knew what happened. So it's a kind of unpredictable bursting. You might face some scenario sometime that your website or your solution is getting accessed by multiple users or multiple customers immediately, and you don't have time even to scale up or increase the number of resources or machines in order to cater that load. So what you do, you say those scenarios to unpredictable bursting. So when you have the scenario of unpredictable bursting, no issues, cloud can handle that situation. And then you have a predictable bursting. You have something like seasonal trend or something like that. Let's say you have Valentine Day. You know, okay, 14th February, my website will go up because I sell greeting cards on website, and then it will come down a little bit, and then again after on Holi it will go up, and then again it will come down. Then again on the next season, maybe the Dussehra or Diwali, again the greeting card season will come up. So you know pretty much then when your load is up versus when your load is down on your website or on your solution. Then essentially this is an example of predictable bursting. So these are the major 4 cloud computing patterns that essentially people see in the industry, and these are very well catered and addressed by cloud. Okay, so this is a slide which actually tells you about the different data centers. You can pretty much see that the nearest data center to India is our East Asia's data center. We have different data centers across the world. And these are the 3 regions that broadly is categorized: North America, Europe region, and Asia Pacific region. So these are the major data centers, and CDN. CDN stands for Content Delivery Network. So whenever the data is stored in the bulk, these are the CDNs. Let's go to next is Microsoft Cloud. Okay. So cloud computing is as a concept I just discussed, and there are various offerings from various companies. Microsoft offers the cloud computing, and the cloud computing product of Microsoft is named as Azure. So we essentially say that Microsoft Azure. This is just one snapshot of one of the data centers of Microsoft. So what are the different things that are there in this Azure? So we have physical facilities, as you can see. What are the we have a state-of-the-art access control and all those things. Many people are there. Geo-distribution of data is there. So if you have data at one place, essentially you can distribute that data into multiple places. The major benefit of geo-redundancy may be that in case of any natural disaster or any problems in one data center, your data can still be recovered from the rest of the data centers, and a kind of failover can also be provided to you. So those are the natural benefits of having the things like geo-distribution and geo-replication. Platform availability and security. Platform availability and security tells that, okay, all the time your data will be up. irrespective of what happened to data center or what did not happen to data center, something went down, something went wrong with that, or some machines went down, no issues. Your platform availability will be 99.9% uptime, and we will ensure that it does not go down. So what we do is we do the service isolation over these compute and networks. Compliances and DR. So there are many countries which are not ready to even trust the other boundaries. So we have got many certifications from different companies who are security expert in order to ensure that we are compliant and we are disaster recovery also in that case. Okay, so Windows Azure intro. So what I'll do is preferably I'll come back to my screen. I'll show them what is the portal, how does it look like. So let me go here. My whole desktop is shared, right? My screen will go blank and come back in a minute. So in the meantime, while it is opening, let me tell you, if you want to work on Azure, you essentially need to have a subscription. And then once you have that subscription, you can pretty much see the things, how it goes on. Okay, I think pretty much you can see my screen. So I am opening microsoftazure.com. So while the portal is opening, as I already told you, you need a subscription. If you are a student, I think you have some flexibility in getting the free passes where you can explore multiple Azure things. What is in Azure? How can you do things with that? So let the portal load in the meantime. So we will now see that how does a portal look and how can you, when I say you can get lot of machines and then you can get rid of multiple machines, what are the different services that are there? So all that we can see in this portal. Okay, taking some time to load. I think it's not coming up. Somewhere else. Trying to access my accounts which I have in Azure. So I regularly work in Azure projects. So it is trying to, I'm just trying to open the subscription with which I have the access. And once it is able to authenticate me, then it will allow me to go inside the portal. Okay. So while it opens, let me go back to this presentation again. So the essential part that we already discussed is it is easy, it's open and flexible, it's powerful. And then you see these different services. So we have management portal where you can have compute, you can have storage, you can have connectivity, you can have identity, performance, market, and all that thing. So these are the different categories. Okay, if you need a machine, preferably you will use compute of it. If you need to store something in the cloud, you need a storage. So here you can see there are two kinds of storage. One is Windows Azure storage, and the second is SQL Azure. SQL Azure is almost similar to the SQL that you actually use your on-premise. This is the flavor of SQL, and the storage is little different. So when you see tables, blob, and queues, these are not the same tables as you have the SQL tables. So these are the Windows Azure storage, where essentially the data is stored in a unstructured form. When I say unstructured form, this is non-relational data. However, you can store the relational data also, but normally the practice is if you want to store the relational data, you use it in SQL Azure. You do not store it in storage. So normally the unstructured data like entity, like big data, images, or some small data in a shorted format like queues, you use that for that. So storage is classic example for that. Connectivity. In case I'm not sure you're not able to connect tonight. Anyways, okay, so Internet Explorer, and then I have it here. Let me open this. This as well. Okay. So yeah, I think you can now see my machine. I have logged into some other machine to make sure that the things are fine here. So you can see that there are many things that you can see here. One is websites, virtual machines, mobile services, cloud services, SQL, storage, SD Insight. So these are different things, different options that you can actually explore in cloud. And pretty much to just discuss each one of them, we might need another one single session for each of them. So currently, I'm just giving you an overview of this particular portal. So there are various options that you can do. Like you have Store Simple, you have add-on, Active Directory, management services. These are different options that you can actually explore within that. Most of the times you will be using cloud services for the simple systems and websites and SQL databases. If you have some different requirements also, then you can preferably see the other options. You can explore the other options as well. So this is a cloud portal which you can see, and if you click on subscription, you can see pretty much things there. You can see 4 subscriptions like C2PC, underscore development, test, and all that. So these are my project subscriptions in my office, and that's why you're able to see that. Once you create subscription, you will have that many number of checkboxes, the number of subscriptions you have. I have 4 subscription, or I'm part of 4 subscriptions, so I have the 4 are coming to me. Okay. Now, so if you click on cloud service, these are the actually cloud service that are there. So cloud service is nothing but a kind of you can create a WCF service if you know C# or kind of web service you can understand, where you can actually expose an API which can be used by someone to do some operations, or otherwise you can create a website also that can be used by someone. So this is actually a portal, and to create something new you have to go to that option, click new, and then you can create things here. But let me first go here, and then okay, it also opened, and then explain what are the different things. So you have just seen portal, where what we are seeing is we have multiple options to do. We can create compute, we can create websites, we can do all those things. And if you click on virtual machines, then we can get the machines as well. So this is a kind of management portal where you have connectivity, identity, performance, and market. So these are different options that we can do with that. But anyway, we will today go through a small example that in Visual Studio, if you are aware of it, that how actually we can use that in order to create a small web service or a website. Okay, how? Okay, so let me give you an example for that. For now, I will just use Visual Studio 2013. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you a demo where preferably I'll make sure that you are able to see that how do we create a simple Azure application. Now, in order to create this, what you need is you need to have Visual Studio installed on your machine, and you also need to make sure that you have Azure SDK available on installed on your machine. So if you don't have Azure SDK, you might not be able to create the solution in Azure. So since this is my regular machine which I use in Office, we have the Azure SDK installed. Azure SDK is free of cost. If you search on MSDN, you will get the link. So you can install the latest Azure SDK. The current latest version is 2.3. So if you install Azure SDK and you have Visual Studio, then preferably you can do that. Now I click on File, and then I click on New, and I click on Project, New Project. Okay, I click here, and then a window opens where you can select what type of project you want to create. So if you installed SDK, you will see an option here called Cloud, and under this cloud you will see some options at the right hand side like Windows Azure Cloud Service, ASP.NET Application, and Windows Azure Mobile Service. Now I'll just select Windows Azure Cloud Service, and I will go here. I select this option, and I will say this. Okay, we have Windows Azure 4. So let me say CII _ webinar. I'm going to create a simple website called CII _ webinar. Okay, and I'll say okay. When I say OK, you can see in the screen that I am seeing a new Windows Cloud Service. Now here the interesting piece starts. It says ASP.NET Web Role, Worker Role, blah, 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 blah. So when you actually create a website, forget about cloud for a moment. What do? You create some ASP.NET pages, right? And for a website, you maintain some data also in that. So essentially you have a two-tier application. One is your front end that you say a web server. The other one is your backend. Normally you say a database server. Now in that case, what happens is the front end has an endpoint that you say URL also sometime, or the website address, to which the users hit or they open and they enter some data, and then data goes back to your SQL or some backend repositories, maybe file or something. So essentially what happens is you are having a two-tier application. One is front end, one is back end, and sometimes you have an application layer also where you actually have all the processing logic in place. In the same case, here also we have something called web role and worker role. What web role is? It's nothing but a front end. So the VMs on which the presentation layer will be actually there. So UI and all those things will be on web role. It will have an endpoint, it will have IS installed, and the user will actually hit it. Okay. So this is the web role. Now when you say worker role, then worker role is nothing but a kind of role which you actually have as an application layer where you will have processing. So technically speaking, hardware will be same for both of them, but the software will change. So when I say software will change, then essentially what am I trying to say? That on a machine which has a web role, it will have IIs installed and all the components that UI may require. When I say worker role, it will have only the computing things and some kind of Windows services, but it will not be exposed to user. So it will not have endpoints. It will not have any front end, but it will be used as a middle thing. So I will just select my web role and I will click on select, and then you can see in the right hand thing it is coming up. When I click on OK, you can pretty much see that now it has started creating a web role. Now another dialog box comes up on your screen that you can see your new ASP.NET Web Role 1. Yeah, latency is a little bit fine. So you can see multiple options here. You can see MVC, you can see Facebook application and all that. You can essentially create any, you can select any of these template, and then you can create the application. I'll take an MVC application. MVC stands for Model View Controller, and I will just say okay, so that I can ensure that yes, I'm clicking this and I'm creating an MVC application. However, if you want to create an application where you want to provide a authentication also, for example, you might have seen multiple websites where you have actually seen that create your logins and then you sign in with your login, all those things. So that you can do here pretty much. For that, what you need to do, you need to go to change authentication and select the authentication you wanted to have. Okay, so you can see some authentication like that, no authentication, individual user accounts, organization account, Windows. So you can use pretty much any of those accounts. That's fine. We are not going to touch it anyway, and we will say no authentication for now, and we will say okay, we don't want any authentication because it's a demos program. So we'll just go without any authentication as of now, and then we will go to OK button. Perfect. So now what we have told to computer, okay, I want to create an Azure application. I just wanted to create a front end. I don't want a backend middle tier as of now. And then I am okay with if this website does not contain any authentication. I am okay with it. So a web role can also do the task of a worker role, but it's up to us. We want to divide the responsibility between two different kinds of machine or not. Okay. Okay. So now you see your .NET application is ready, and let me see the Solution Explorer. Now Solution Explorer comes at the right, and you can see that I have two major nodes. One is this and another is this. So I have not done any coding. Okay, I'm a developer, I should do coding as well. I'm supposed to do so. But let me put it here. Let me go to Solution Explorer and then press F5. Okay, now the moment I do F5, you can see what's happening on the screen. See at the left bottom corner, you say build is started, it's ready. Okay, at the right hand side, you see some operations are there, build is succeeded, deploying services, starting the rows in Windows Azure emulator. Okay, and then it opens a web page. With that web page is having some URL of my local machine 127.0.0.1.57005, and then here we go. We have created a website that you can see, application name, home, about, contract, and all this, and it's done. So essentially what I have done, I have not done any coding, number one. I have just taken an out of the box template and tried to create. So you can pretty much create your own website this way. You can obviously will like to change many things, but the point to notice is a little bit different here. Now you have created a website which you want to deploy in the cloud, but did I deploy in the cloud? No. I just actually created a sample application for you from templates, and I do not deploy it in the cloud. I just press F5. So if you notice the URL, it is of local machine. So I can say this is running in local machine, and then essentially you can say it is actually deployed on the local machine, and the answer is yes. Is it deployed? Yes, it is deployed on the local machine. So you as a developer, what you do is, if you're writing a program or you're writing an application or creating an application for Azure, you will not every time deploy it onto cloud. You will essentially run it on your machine, and then after you are done with all the things, you have done testing, you have done everything, you have done all the necessary changes, then only you will deploy on the cloud, because deploying on the cloud will be it will take little time, and every time you want to run and test a small thing, you will not deploy to the cloud. It's something like an emulator. So we have emulator in our local machines. So once you deploy the SDK, you install the SDK in your machine, an emulator automatically comes. Those one of you who have developed some phone application and all those, you might have seen that there is a phone emulator in your machine by which you can test few things. Similarly for cloud also, we have a cloud emulator. So if you notice in the right bottom corner, you can see that I am clicking on system tray, and in system tray there is a small option called compute emulator. So this icon actually tells you that you have emulator installed in your machine. So I'll just right click this in order to see what is inside this. So I will just click on show compute emulator UI. This show compute emulator UI will tell me that how did I deploy in this machine and what are the things I am doing. So I can see, okay, I have a web service called CIA web seminar. I have one dev role inside it, and in which one is there. Okay, let's do one thing. I have just have this, and while I'm doing this, I will close the solution, or I will stop the solution. It's currently running. Now you can notice the color of that green circle, it becomes red now, and after it had become red, then it is slowly stopping also, so everything is gone. Where everything is gone. So now since I have stopped the solution, there is nothing deployed on your machine. So this emulator actually keeps telling you that what's happening within your machine in terms of compute emulator. So it actually creates VM within the machine and deploys it. But in eventuality, we will see that how to do it in cloud also. Okay, perfect. Let me minimize this and then again try to run it. Okay, let's run it. I have pressed F5. and I have opened this. Let's see what comes into the service deployment. Ideally, service deployment should have something where a one machine should be there. Okay, I can see in the backend something is opening like IE, and then you can see pretty much here you have one option here, and then you can see what's happening here, and you can see here. Okay, perfect. So if you see this black screen, you will see, okay, a lot of things are happening in the back end. We are getting a machine, we are installing a software on the machine, then we are starting it, then we are calling on start method, and then it is run. So this is what naturally happens in the new machine. Now let me do some explain a few small things. I'll just stop the solution. So again, you can experience that, how it is getting stopped, and then how it is, after it is getting stopped, how it is vanishing also from the machine. So you will see it is becoming red now, and after it has become red, the deployment is also gone. Perfect. Now let's explore the Solution Explorer a little bit. If you see the Solution Explorer, you will notice two things. One is your web role node, and second is your CIA_web_webinar role. This thing is nothing but your code. All your code that you write for your website and everything is here. And this particular CIA_webinar node is containing your roles. You said I want one web role, that's why you have one children here. And then for every children you have two types of configuration. One is cloud and another is local. Now the interesting piece comes here. Till now, if you create a website and you have to deploy and you build it, how many files you need? You need image file, you need source file, you need code file, you need DLL, and blah 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 blah. But in cloud this all goes away. What you have to do when you want to deploy this, you just have to package it and you will get two files. Only two files. Just remember this very important concept. So when you create an Azure, your cloud package, you get only two files. One is your CSCFG file and another is your CSVKG file. So one is essentially a package file and another is configuration file. We will do that now. Okay, right click this, and then here is an option called package. So what I will do is I'll try to create a package. Okay. So it asks me which configuration. So I say cloud configuration, release, and package. When I create a package for this, then essentially what's happening, if you see the left hand side, publish is started. You see the left hand side, publish is started, and then it's trying to create a package, and only two files will be generated. I have so many files here. Wow, it generated. If you can see in the right hand side, then you have web role. Under you have app data, content, controller, font, model, script, views, web role.config, worker role.package.config, and all that. But this whole solution is already packaged into two files, and these are these two files. Now the moment you want to deploy this, you can take these two files, give it to anyone, and then deploy it, or you can yourself deploy it in the cloud. We will see that how to deploy this actually in actuality. Okay, but in the meantime, let's understand what are these things that are here. Okay, so I'll click on web role 1. Okay, so I'll go to web role 1. And then I'll double click on the web role 1, then you can see at the left hand side some configurations are coming. So when you need to deploy something on the Azure, you need to tell few things to the cloud. Okay, what are those few things? How many number of machines you need, and what is the machine type? So if I say I need one machine, it's fine. If I say okay, I need 3 machines, and let me try if it works for me, then what it's doing is trying to create it. And it's trying to deploy it, and what's happening here is you can see it is still one machine. Okay, this is an Express emulator, so I can install with one, but then that's fine. So this instance count actually tells me that how many instances I can have while deploying it. So if you say I need 5 machines, you will say 5. If you say I need 10 machines, you can say 10. If you need 500 machines, you will say 500. And this is the VM sizes. So we have multiple VM sizes currently available: extra large, large, medium, small. So each type of machines have some specific set of configuration. For example, a medium will have, let's say, 2 GB of hard disk, and a large will have 4 GB, and similarly the extra large might have 8 GB of RAM. So if medium has 2 GB of RAM, large has 4 GB of RAM, or otherwise maybe 8 GB of RAM. So essentially these are the set of machines that are available ready-made in the cloud, and you tell them that this my solution or this of my code base should be deployed where. I can say, okay, I want to deploy on a small only. And then these are some other information that you want to say, okay, you want to go with HTTP or you want HTTPS and blah, 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 blah. So this is the kind of information that is useful and that you already should know, that when you're deploying in the cloud with some web role or worker role, how you should be actually choosing your machine type. Normally what happens is, if you know that your website will be loaded by multiple things, then you take the more number of instance counts here, and you take the VM size also large or something like that. So okay, I will do one thing. I will try to take this application and then I'll try to deploy it in Azure. Okay, let me take the package again. I'll take the latest package and then I'll try to deploy it in Azure. I say package, I have the cloud and release. Perfect. And then as soon as I click on package, what it will do, it will try to build this solution and it will try to create the package for me. Okay, I'm creating the package. Now, as soon as this package is getting created, I can deploy it in Azure. So publish, wow, package is created. You can see a window is opened for us and you can see two files there. One is ca_webinar.cspakg and another window is service configuration.cloud.cscfg. So these are the two files where everything is there and I just want to deploy it. Okay, no problem. How will I deploy it? So what I will do is I'll deploy it here, and wherever you are in Hyderabad or outside Hyderabad, I'll give you a URL. Once it is deployed, you can try it in your own website. So I created an application in my machine sitting in Hyderabad, and within 15-20 minutes you can see that application in your machine who are very far from here. Let's see that how can it happen. Okay, let me go to Azure and I go to cloud service. So I'm going to create a cloud service for you and then let's see how it is created. Okay, I click on new and I click on quick create. Okay, when you click on quick create, you are asking it to a kind of shortcut creation, and then you say, okay, what will be my URL? Okay, I will give a URL like ci_webinar. It's not available. What's the date today? 1st August _1, also not available. 1st August, okay, also not available. 2014, interesting. 167. So it's something like you are giving a URL to your website. Wow, ca-webinar is available. So it's something like you are saying, okay, I have xyz.com. Here you can say, okay, I have ca-webinar.cloudweb.net. Okay, and then I can say, okay, deploy it in East Asia data center. So you are telling it, you have already told I need one instance of a small type. Now you are telling the cloud that this will be my URL and my data center should be East Asia, where this service should be applied. When I click on create cloud service, which is at the right bottom corner, then it is starting to create a CIA-webinar. You can see it is created now. Now as soon as I click on it, you can see a good dashboard here, and you see multiple options here: dashboard, monitor, configure, scale, instance, blah, 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 blah. Okay, no problem. Let me go to this dashboard, and then you have two options: production and staging. Let's forget what is production and staging as for now, but I will just deploy it in production. So these are two separate places where you can place your website. Let me do it here and to say upload a new production deployment. Let me do this. I say okay. Okay, deployment label. Okay. CII 1st August. And then you have two options where you have to select those two files. So if you remember what I emphasized on you, you have a website, you have something, you have cloud service. When you want to deploy it into Azure, you have just two files. That's why you are seeing one package and one configuration. I'll say from local, and let me go to this path, and I just try to open that path first. So I am taking that path and then I am saying open, As soon as I say open, I'm going to the directory from my local machine where these two files are there, and I will try to select the file. Which file I have to try first? Package. So this is package file CSPKG. Okay, I say open, and the second is from local, select your configuration file, and as soon as you select your configuration file, come to open and then click on open. So it will, what it will do, it will go to the configuration file, it will select the configuration file, and then you can see that the file is also selected. Now there's an option called deploy even if one or more roles contains a single instance. I say yes. What it does, it says Azure mandates that, boss, whenever you deploy, don't deploy with one instance. But you remember, we in the solution we have selected only instance count as 1. So it's okay. If we select instance counts more, it will increase our cost and it will ensure the availability. But it is only for learning purpose. So I'm saying, okay, within one instance, we will just see how it works. Okay, I click this check sign, this OK button. And as soon as I say OK, on the screen you can see pretty much your production is starting. This page will refresh after deployment starts. So in 5 to 7 seconds, you can pretty much see that my website will be up, and in fact you are, wherever you are sitting, you can see that website up and running, and then you can see that it is getting created. Okay, interesting. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we'll come back to this, but while it is happening, what is happening inside? Let me go back to the slide so that I can explain you what is happening now. So you have seen I have my machine. If you can see my okay. So if you can see my machine, you can see that my machine is my laptop where I opened Visual Studio. I created the program. I have seen the configuration. I have seen rule settings. I have seen everything. And then another is cloud. Now what happened is, as soon as we started deploying, what happened is that your machine having a service package, and that service package is moving to the cloud. How did it move? I selected browse and then select on all that. And as soon as the service package is moved to the cloud, what happened in the data center? So let's say this is the whole cloud. Now whatever you can see is your whole cloud, and then the service package is there in the cloud. Okay. Then what happened? Then we have three options. Three things we will have to do one by one. First is we have to provision a virtual server. Second is we have to deploy an app code. Third is we have to configure the network. So if you can see, then that there are somewhere around 8 racks that you can say, service rack 1 at the left hand side and the right hand side service rack 2. So essentially we have 2 racks, and similarly we have multiple racks. So now what will happen is, as soon as I have a service package, then you can see, okay, it is saying I need two machines or some X machines, and then let's say if I have given instance count as 2, then I have 2 machines. It will select some 2 machines from 2 different racks. It will select 2 machines from 2 different racks, and then as soon as I click next, what would happen is these 2 machines will be put in the whole set of data center. Okay, so I have 2 racks. I selected 2 machines because I selected instance count as 2. So in our case it will be 1 only, and then we have put those 2 machines into Azure data center. Perfect. Now what happens is, and then that service package is deployed onto these 2 machines. You can see slowly that what's in the animation is happening. So I'll repeat from beginning so that you can just again see that. So we have our machine, then we have cloud. Okay, we have the code in our machine that is called service package, and then this service package is slowly going to the cloud. That is what we clicked on browse, and then we have in browse. Then what happened is we are seeing the service package in the cloud, and then what we need to do is, from when service package is already available in the cloud, we have to select the number of machines. In our case it is 1, in this PPT it is 2. So let's say we have selected that we need 2 machines. So we are searching for 2 racks here, 2 different racks, and we will take 2 machines out of this rack because we need to deploy 2 instances. Perfectly fine. And then we say, okay, we have one new virtual server from rack 1 and another from rack 2, 2 different racks. Perfectly okay. And then what we will do, we will place these 2 machines into the data center somewhere. But that we have identified these 2 machines, and we want our software to be installed only on these 2 machines. Okay, our service pack is now deployed onto these 2 machines, and then slowly you can see it is deployed. Okay, now after this what happens is, so this is all what happens in the background. You will not see it and you will not know it, that how it is happening also in the cloud. I'm just telling you what happens in the background. Okay, now you do the configure, you configure the networks. You have the network load balancer that also is automatically taken by the network load balancer, and then these network load balancer are actually pointing to these machines, and then all these machines can point to these network load balancer, and network load balancer will take care of forwarding the request that is coming from the user to this particular thing. So you can see a tablet, a phone, or a desktop, the request is raised from whatever place, it will be coming to here. So this is what internally happens. Okay, now how does it happen? How long it can happen? We have an infinite scale for it. I mean, it's not that we can we have 1 or 2 machines. We can have thousands of machines, and we can ensure that we have infinite scale in order to support this system. Okay, now let's see that are we there, our service is up and running or not. Have we created that cloud service? Is it ready, running? Okay, it is still under processing, so it will take some time. Oh, okay, this is our, not all instances are ready. Perfect. So it is still loading on, and it is trying to create a website. Once it is ready, I can share that particular thing. So you can see it is creating. So you can relate that to PPT now, that okay, I was having a package, then I was creating a machine, and then I'm deploying that package to those machines. So all this is happening in the background here. Okay, while it's happening, let me go back to the PPT now. And it takes time, that's why we have PPTs. Perfect. So we have infinite scale, and that actually help us to get as many machines as we want from the system. Okay, so now you have seen that we have 2 machines in place. Slowly. Okay, so you can see that I have 2 machines. Assume that I have selected 2 instances. But if you want, you can actually have more machines from 2 to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Similarly, you can scale up to any number. Okay, if I want, I can go up to maybe 92 machines. Then the system will look like this in your data center. So how it will look like, you can select 92 machines and many machines will be selected, and the system will be like this. If I have 92 machines, then you can see, then slowly your data center will have machines from multiple racks, and it can look like something like this complex structure. So this all happens behind the scene. You need not to know. What you need to know is, okay, how many machines I do need and what type of machines do I need to have. That's it. So you can have, this is just an example where you can have 92 machines, your software or your website is deployed onto this so many number of servers. Okay, you want to come down, you can come down. I said, okay, I need only 10 machines. I changed the system, I redeployed it, and then I have only 10 machines in place. So it's up to us that how many machines we want to have, that's it. Now the point is here is scalability and scaling also. So when scalability comes into picture, many people ask that how do you handle this situation? So what we do is we have the systems and we have the software or your code at multiple places in order to make sure that whenever you need, we can increase the number of instances, I mean machine, or we can decrease the number of instances, or so to speak machines. So we can run multiple instances, we can change the VM sizes also. These are the sizes that I was discussing when I was showing you machine sizes. If you remember the drop down that I have shown you, what type of machines are there. So if you have, let's say, a small machine, you have 1.6 gigahertz CPU there, 1.7 GB of hard disk, and disk space will be 225 GB. If you have a medium, you have selected a medium type of machine in Azure, then essentially you are saying you need a machine from cloud where 4 GB, 3.5 GB of RAM is there, and 490 GB of hard disk is there, and there are two cores of 1.6 GB hard disk. So these are the different machine sizes that you can choose from depending on what you need in order to place your code or your website there. Okay, the important point here is to remember is that you pay only for what you use. So if you say that I need a small machine, essentially yes, you will be paying less. If you are using large machine, the cost will be little high. That is what the difference would be. Okay. Perfect. Recovering from hardware failure. So what happens is that sometimes you can say, okay, I have a cloud, I have everything, my website is there, but it can fail because everything is designed to fail. So essentially you need to prepare for a hardware failure also. So you'll just see if anything fails, how does it look like and how does it happen in Azure. So I have said, okay, if you have 2 instances in cloud, at least we can guarantee that your service will always be up. It will not be failing. Okay. Let's see how it happens. So if you remember some 5 minutes back, we have seen this slide. Let the slide load. I think it's loading. Yeah. So we can see the slide that we have 2 machines in the cloud where there was a network load balancer, and in the data center these 2 machines were identified. Let's assume one machine is not working. One machine went down. Then what would happen in the system initially? So the users who are there with the network load balancer will take care that, okay, one machine is down, then still one machine is up, and it will take care of diverting all the traffic route to that particular machine. Okay. In the meantime, what would happen is Azure will take care making up one machine, deploying your code to that machine, and it will make up, and then network load balancer will point it to that. So it's a kind of failover cluster where you have something is going wrong, no problem. You have the source code is with cloud. It will take care automatically, create another machine, spin up another machine, and then it will put that into the network load balancer. So essentially a user who are there, either it is from tablet that you can see from the picture, or it is from laptop or desktop, they will never experience the downtime. They will always see the services all the time running, up and running. So this is what, when the failure happens at the behind, it can happen. Now the interesting thing to remember is, if you had only one machine, one instance, as in our case, then it may not be guaranteed that you will have a service SLA of 99.9%. So that is the whole difference that can happen here. So that is why Microsoft Azure recommends that you should have minimum 2 instances in the cloud for your service. Since we were in demo, we selected only one. Perfect. 99.95% monthly SLA is there, and then what is taken care of your machine, the machine that is assigned to you. If there are any updates or something, then we can ensure the updates are given to you well in time, and it will be taken care of. So suppose if your machine is going down, or we have to explicitly making your machine down for some software updates or some Windows update or some operating system updates, we will take care that your software is up and running, or your website or service is up and running somewhere else, so that your customers are not facing any downtime. Now there are 2 types of upgrades that happens, but let me check in the meantime my service is up and running or not. Okay. Production, one instance busy, I can go to production. Okay. Wow. So I have this webinar running. You can see I deployed in the cloud. This is my cloud portal where I deploy my website, and you can see in the home page. So Srinivas, can I ping this to the participants by any chance? This string.
You can share it.
How? So we are just pinging you the URL of it. Wherever you are, if you have internet, you can try opening it and you can open it. So it's a classic example. You can pretty much see the power of this portal and things, that how did I do it. I just quickly created a website in front of you in the demo itself, and I am going to give you a URL which is up and running, and you can try that yourself. Don't go on the content. The content I did not change, I did because I did not do any coding. But my point is how quickly we can create a website, how quickly we can get the resources in the internet, how quickly we can make sure that whatever we want to share, we can share across the globe. So this is a great example. from the template we created a website and we are giving to you. And I hope everybody should be able to browse it. If you are able to browse it, just let me know. Perfect. I hope you should be able to. So whatever is on screen you are seeing is, you can see the URL, and you see in the URL part of it, CIA_webinar is the part where we give this particular string in the, while we creating it, that this should be our website name, and this is what you are seeing. Okay, now we are talking about upgrades, so let me go back to the slides. Perfect. So so we can have, so you have seen that we can, the machine can come down because of multiple reasons, its own reason or some updates also. If machines are coming up or we are placing the upgrade to it, then what we can do is essentially we can take our service package and we can give it to the cloud, and then cloud will take care of giving this particular package to somebody else. Okay, cloud has taken one machine out of the rotation, it has given the package to it, the machine is placed again there, and the network load balancer is pointing to it. Now what it will do, it will take the other machine out of the rotation from network load balancer and then put the package here, and then we'll place it here, and then again put the network load balancer connection. So what is happening is, you have, okay, after 2 days you thought, okay, I want to change something in the website, no problem. You create another developer machine, and then you create a service package, you give it to the cloud, and they will do an in-place upgrade. The benefit of in-place upgrade is, your customer will never ever be able to know when all this happened. They will always see the website up and running, and they will not face any downtime. Okay. Now VIP swap upgrade, what has happens is, okay, so if you have seen the portal, I told you there are two things. One is your staging and another is your production. So let me show you what is a staging and what is production. You can see there's a production and a staging. In the URL, if I click on left hand side is production and right hand side is staging. If I click left hand side, we have deployed it somewhere. Okay, perfect. If we click on right hand side, we have not deployed anything here. So normally what happens in practical is, we have staging and production, and if something is already in production, that is what the customer see. But if you want to test something in cloud, where should you deploy? Then you should deploy in staging. Okay, as soon as you deploy it on staging, then what happens is that you can test that, and you can ensure everything is running fine, and then post that you do a VIP swap. You can see in the bottom middle way there is a swap button, if you can see. So this, what it does, it if you have already something in production and you have something in staging, and you want to make sure that I am done with the staging and this solution should now go to production, you do a swap. So what swap will do, all the bits or all the code or all the software that is there in staging will move to production, and whatever is in the production will move to staging. But since your customers are always pointing to production, it will happen very quickly, and they will see the updated code immediately. So they will not face the downtime. So that is what we say that the upgrade is happening. Okay, perfect. So I'm going back to slide. Okay, so you have a software, okay, and you are already pointing to production. So what you can do is, you can take two machines from staging, and then you can deploy those two things into your staging, and then you can do all the testing, but your customers are still pointing to production. Now what would happen is, you are done with the testing and staging, then you can say, okay, I will do swap with, and your production will become those two different machines, and then we can say, okay, now the customers are pointing to the current production, which is latest. Okay, so your staging has become production and your production has become staging. It's a kind of swapping. So this way, this happens very fast. I mean, swap it happens within, I think it is normally less than a half second in real life. So when this swapping happens, at least at that point of time, we can ensure that your customers are not facing any downtime. So this is nothing but a VIP swap upgrade in case of that. Okay, so I think I have covered a lot of things. What we have done today is, we have seen what cloud computing is. We have seen that what are the different cloud load patterns. We have seen that how to create a simple website. We have created that website. We have uploaded that website. We have created URL log for that. We have given the URL. We have seen how we will upgrade also. And then we have seen that how we can do VIP upgrades as well. So this is the URL where you can go and get started for multiple things, for tutorials, for other things, for learning purpose and everything. So I'm almost done with this thing. If you have any questions, pretty much you can ask now.